It's like a very creative field where we handle living things and non. That is why it comes with a great responsibility. See, fundamental difference in four professions identified in this category: doctor, lawyer, chartered accountants, and architects. These are the four professions identified. Three professions, they come in the insecurity. Doctors, health insecurity, they don't treat me. Chartered accountants, oh my tax. Lawyers. So this is the only profession where they come without any insecurity. In one conference, that lady, an architect from Philippines, she showed a slide which I still remember. I saw it in 2005. They have a kind of a truss or the truss which holds the roof of the house, and there is a particular knot because bamboo tying is not welding. You'll have to have the similar material, so that knotting is very critical. So they have knots, and usually with paddy fields around, they put thatch on it. So in case of fire, what you do? With economics, they are also ready to leave 2 plots of bungalows for open space because the cost of those two plots can be quickly covered. If you give garden, you get quick sellability. You can sell your plots very quickly. So it's a very different ballgame. So landscape has achieved a commercial value. There is a commercial aspect, and people have realized it. Landscape conservation is another field. Altogether, it's a natural conservation. Conservation of natural resources. Geology, hydrology, plant science. You see things, it's a visual field. Architecture is a very much visual field. You see and react to it. You see the color of what you react to. You see the bird and you react to it. Which bird is that? Why is it there? What we do when we suggest plantation at all stages, not only initial stage, even later stage also, we do shadow analysis. It is very much a part of plantation scheme that we do to any plant. Otherwise, it will not grow. This is a discipline one needs to understand, that where you sell nothing, you sell time and talent. You have nothing to sell, no software to sell, no slab to sell, no land to sell. So your time you are selling, and your talent you are selling.
Today, we have a landscape architect who has mastered the art of designing beautiful and sustainable outdoor spaces. Please welcome Mr. Jitendra Pawgi. Welcome to WhatsApp Pro.
Thank you.
Jitendra. So we know that you are a landscape architect, but can you take us through your journey?
Yeah. First of all, let me thank you for having me here. It's really good. I feel good when someone says that they want to know about my field. So basically, I'm an architect, and I did my master's from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. That was in 1996. I think it's a very creative field. What I do about my field and what is that field, I will just brief you on that. It's like a very creative field where we handle living things and non-living things. And it is then that is why it comes with a great responsibility. It is vast. You need to have a cultural awareness. That is must for any landscape architect. We are formally trained as architects. Then we have formal training in climatology, zoology, botany, ecology, and natural sciences, wasteland management, satellite mapping, digital technologies. Then land grading. Land grading is like you make a sculpture out of any granite or material. It's like sculpting the ground, sculpting your site to improve its aesthetic quality. That is known as a grading technique. So in short, we can say it's a science, it is a technique, it is a wisdom that you get from your mentors and gurus. And ultimately, everything has to result into an art. So it is mostly a spatial art. There is something called as a craft and something called as an art. So this is a spatial art. And it brings pleasure to everyone, including living beings. Not only human beings, but everyone. Birds, butterflies, whatever you say. So this is how it is. And I started somewhere around 2000. There was no awareness in India. It was more of a decorative kind of a thing that they used to call and say, just give us some plants to hide something. But now, I think over a period of time, government and society both are aware of the term landscape architect, that they know what landscape architects do, what is their scope of work. And we also have an Indian Society of Landscape Architects, like you have there in America, American Society of Landscape Architects. Then there is International Federation of Landscape Architects. So there are many institutes, they work together, many landscape architects, they contribute. And we are just trying to promote this, make more awareness so that environment, creativity, and development, everything goes together hand in hand. Even AI technology is coming in this field. It is very accommodative. I feel it is very, very accommodative because it's not only limited to the background of architecture students. Anyone can come and do the landscape architecture. There are institutes offering landscape postgraduate course to the varied, to the students or those who are willing to do. And if they are not architects, still they can take up that course and complete the landscape architecture and do their profession thereafter. That is very nice about this. So it's not very limited.
As I know, this is an art. Like you have to be an artist, you have to have artist eye, but
Yes.
there's lots of science also involved in this, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you see in using all these different aspects, like science, art, everything together?
Basically, we are trained, formally trained. Okay, but the question is, it's all in parts, and how do I integrate? That is probably what you are asking, and how everything culminates into an art.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a science and art.
Right.
I'll just give an example. Maybe where you are staying, there is a backyard and there is a front yard for your house. So between the road and the front yard, there is a land which is nicely designed. There must be lawn and good, well-grown trees, nicely laid pathways. So segregation of this pedestrian movement and vehicle traffic, so accidents do not happen. And very gentle slopes. That is what I was earlier referring to, a grading. So it takes care of, that is what the technique is, that takes care of rainwater. If there is the ice, it flows away onto the road and further it goes into some kind of a big pond. So that is the science. Now, and there is another, which is again, since you are in US, I will take the example of Central Park. And it's a very prominent piece of architecture even today. I think it was designed somewhere around 1840s, long back. And Frederick Law Olmsted, who is also referred as the father of landscape, US landscape architecture, American landscape architecture. So he visualized it as a natural space, and the reference or the inspiration has come from the mountains, the Catskills Mountains, what you say, Adirino Duck. So that is where the art comes. And then you have some point of inspiration. You have many points of inspiration actually to start. But you need to identify which is the strongest one, which you can further take into the design. You can take up to detailing in the design. So that point of inspiration is the art or a creative point or a creative flash, I would say, that comes in your mind. And then you have a formal training in science. So that keeps contributing to the inspiration. So everything slowly it culminates into the artistic expression. So that is what that Central Park is. It is around 800 plus acres of a land. And what is it's a good question actually, very tricky, because see, we are designing something. There is a human interference, what we call manicured landscapes, vertical lines, horizontal lines, plant one tree here, another there. But even Central Park is also like that. Every square inch is designed, but you don't feel it that. I feel it is a great achievement because you are designing nature is not easy. Keeping the expression very natural. So what happens to the visitor is though it is a meticulously designed and built by humans, that garden, they just don't feel it that way. I think that is the success of the designer, that your design egos are gone.
Right. Yeah, like that designing egos, like you're
Yes,
designing the nature, but it's very
but
tough to, yeah,
very tough, very tough.
because it keeps
You're
changing.
not supposed to give your expression in the design, not supposed to show your expression.
Uh, it has
So
to be,
that is very powerful in architecture, that you can look at the building and say this is designed by this architect. But when it comes to when there is an involvement of nature and we are working with the nature, I think you should not get into all that.
right.
Understand what that land is, what is happening around, what is happening inside the land, what is happening below the land, what is happening above the land, and just try to link it together.
So when you said designing nature, so the nature keeps changing every 2 months, 3 months, every season. So how do you maintain it? Like once you do one project, once you get one project, you finish one project, and how do you maintain it? Like the clients maintain it, or it's your job to maintain?
No, I tell you, it's not all about the maintenance, but there are certain policies with which we also work. Like, for example, you say people cut the plants and keep them in particular shape. So every day plant grows. But when plant grows, again, that means you'll have to cut it every week. So there is a good maintenance. Lawn mowing, another maintenance. Then if you are doing bonsai, you'll have to make it sure that plant remains at that size. Yeah, small size. So, but somehow, since I'm working with nature for last 25 years, knowing so many wonderful things about nature, I feel we should not do this. It's a sensitive part of mine. You can take it that way. Bonsai, it's like you are making a human being to remain at, always look very small, irrespective of age.
Like
If you are, yeah,
it's like keeping animals in the zoo and not in the
keeping animals in the zoo, not in the natural environment. There are also patterns of designing zoo based on the instincts. So that is another topic. So when designer has policies like this, maintenance automatically goes
oh, okay.
and lawn cutting and all with the mechanical machines and lawn mowers it has become very easy. But that another thing I was telling, like you cut the plant and keep it into a particular shape. That is a topiary work, topiary known as. So when you cut, you usually cut tips of these plants. That means you don't allow it to flower. That means there is no fruit. That means there is no butterfly. There is no butterfly. So it's a dominance of my human being over the nature. I take it that.
Oh.
And in history, you will see, if you study history of landscape architecture, Italians, French people, they have maintained their gardens in a huge way, in the huge topiary works. It was conveying their power to the. So that was the symbolism used. So maintenance that way is easy. It's not very difficult. So if you allow that plant to grow, achieve its full potential, bear fruits, flowers, enjoy it, there is hardly any maintenance. But you want to dominate, yes, surely there is maintenance. You cut it, keep it in one shape. Yeah.
Yeah, keeping it more natural is
Yes.
better.
Wilderness.
Right.
Wild and wilder.
Right. When you design any institute, like any garden of a school or some institute or even a home, somebody's home, that you need to maintain, right? Like, because it's not a wilder.
So basically, when in especially the climate in which I'm in tropics, and as a nature's policy, if you plant a tree and it grows well, actually nothing grows under it because sunlight is unable to reach underneath the tree.
Right.
So it is a good way of designing landscape where you have good well-grown trees, or maybe you can visualize they will grow after 10 years. So that part of visualization is equally important. And underneath, you can always propose the paving. See, you will have to change the plantation at least twice in any landscape, because when you are planting trees, they are maybe 20 feet in height. They have not achieved their full spread. So sunlight is at that time it reaches up to the bottom, up to the trunk. So anything you plant there will grow. But if you see the trees growing, slowly that sunlight stops reaching at the base. In that case, nothing grows there because there is no photosynthesis. Then you will have to redesign the lower story plantation. Usually there are three stories. One is the lowest, which is a lawn or ground cover. Second is the shrub, and third is the tree. So lowest story and middle story, what we say shrub, you need to change. So there is always, these are the steps, and many times the client do not understand that. So we tell them that this is how it is, how the change you mentioned. This is how the landscape is going to change, and season wise also it will change, and growth wise also it will change. So you will have to have some budget, maybe, and it will reduce your maintenance because now that will be a realistic one. You know where sunlight is reaching, sunlight not reaching, where leaf fall is happening. In general, the landscape maintenance in this region is limited to cleaning the floors and sweeping. Nothing else. If you take that policy, not cutting trees and not making roads. Also, what I feel is, lawn is two-dimensional, whereas tree is three-dimensional, your shrub is three-dimensional. So it satisfies your eyes, it satisfies need of your eyes and the brain and the greenery that you expect in much more way than the way the lawn satisfies.
There are so many things to take care of and think about when you design any garden or any space. Right?
Yes.
So let's talk about landscape architecture as a career, right? Like if somebody wants to be an landscape architect, how does this journey start? Like how do you find your first client?
Good one. It's like chicken and egg story.
Yeah, I know later on it will be like word of mouth, you know, but finding that first client, like building your portfolio, it's like how do you achieve that?
True. See, when I passed out, there was not much awareness. So getting client was very easy, practically speaking. I mean, it's other way around also, but I found it easy. And it was like just going to to your friends, those who are already into architectural practice, going to your teachers, because they know they used to keep track of mine what I'm doing since they had taught us.
Like internship, you work like as an
Internship, yes. And so you get job to them, first job, but you have to prove yourself. So you get the next one. And once you prove yourself, then automatically you get the next one. But it's a very different ball game in this country, or this particular profession is yet not very organized. Architecture, it's a different act in Parliament, that is 1972 Architects Act. We are just still struggling for the recognition. We will get it, I'm sure. So the struggle is there. It's going on since last 25 years. But I feel every designer goes through it. Every creative person goes through it. And I think it happens in your life maybe at three stages. First is the struggle where you try to prove yourself, then you prove yourself. And the second stage where you are not very comfortable, but still you are learning and absorbing things. Because you at your own level of creativity still not satisfied. Because creativity, I have yet to come across a good creative person who is satisfied at the age of 90 years. So it is a continuous process, and there is another stage where you don't go everywhere, but The client comes to you, he takes the reference from earlier client, from earlier somewhere this is how the process over you is that client studies you as a consultant before approaching.
And then word of mouth.
Either word of mouth, that is the reference is also there. But what happens is every client is different. Every person is different. Their ideas are different. Their perception, their exposure is different. So it evolves. And finally, you sit in the chair and you get the project. And projects, you keep getting the projects. Then there is an extra responsibility. See, when client says that I want this, it is very easy because that comes from him. But when he comes and says, see, this is in general what idea I have, and we will follow what you are doing or what you will give us. That is sometimes scary, I'm telling you.
But that
really
gives you free hand, right, to do whatever you want to do.
Yes, free hand comes, but it comes with a great responsibility because everything comes to me. And I'm happy. I like to do it. It's not like I will give up something and misguide the people. No, but I'm happy.
Right. Because as an artist, we know that we are going to design something, and then the client comes and say, "Oh, I want to change," because art is like it varies person to person. It's like very personalized thing. So if you design something and then the client say, "Oh, I want to make this changes. I want to make this change." Does that annoy you?
No, no. That is what I will put it this way, that there are two types of consultants, like those who agrees to everything what client says. But I am a type of a person where I say, look, this is what you have in mind, but this will work, this will not work. And I am a person who will insist on following on my way. Clients are many times, they are very sensitive. This is the best part of the country, where our country. It's like there are clients, see, fundamental difference in four professions identified in this country, like doctor, lawyer, chartered accountants, and architects. These are the four professions identified. Three professions, they come in the insecurity. Doctors, health insecurity, they go treat me. Chartered accountants, my tax, tax benefits, all of these things. Lawyers, So, but this is the only profession. Yeah,
I don't want to know.
Good. So this is the only profession where they come without any insecurity. So that mentality is very different, and then you'll have to be very delicate in handling. But there are clients who are sensitive, they are selfless. I'm fortunate to have some clients like this. They are selfless. Maybe they have their land, and since there was some legal problem, they took initiative. What 100 people out of that legality? People started believing in that client. When the client comes to you and says that, look, this is what we have done. We have also have local people working for us. Please guide us. Then what I do not remain very commercial with them, because it's a very genuine thing what they are doing for the society. It's that social cause, and then you will have to consider all that. It's not like I do things for free, but because I like to run the office ultimately. But that aspect of the client is very important. Also, there are clients where they understand art like anything, and dealing with them is also difficult. This is another extreme.
Yeah, that was my next question. How
they know my field? Yeah, they know my field well in advance. They travel all over the world, and they are also artists this way or that way. In some other art, they do other art, so they understand artist mind, and they talk on those lines with that vocabulary of art. But I keep upgrading myself. I mean, it's not like I'm stagnant. I'm still learning. Whenever I feel there is, something I need to understand and study, I immediately find my own ways out, and I do it in limited time, because ultimately you have to deliver to the project. Delivery has to be there. You can't keep studying ecology, some part of ecology for 1 year because you are supposed to implement that in your project. No. So that sometimes, has to that has to be planned.
So in your bio, when I was reading, I read that you did hands-on workshop on bamboo. So what is
Yeah,
that like? What bamboo particularly like?
yeah. It was a workshop,
Hmm.
and like every project had a story. This client came and said, "I have a lot of bamboo in my site, growing well." And particularly that part of which is near Pune, that part of, or that region has a lot of bamboo.
Hmm.
So then we thought that, and he also had one person who would do some kind of a structure in bamboo. It's a very tricky material.
Hmm.
And that time I was knowing bamboo, but not very confident of handling that material. Every material is different. Stone, brick, how you handle it. That was with the bamboo. Bamboo is basically living material. And when we say stone and brick, they are non-living materials. We make building out of concrete and steel. But this is a living material. That means we have to treat it. So there are ways of treatment. Then you the joinery, foundations, termite issues. All that needs to be studied.
Wow.
So what I did, I thought I should take a formal training because if I'm supposed to tell someone that you do this, I should be know.
Right.
So I went to Auroville. Fortunately, they had a bamboo workshop at that time. In India, we have almost 48 species of bamboo, different species of bamboo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the world, they are different. Southeast Asians are champions. If you look at Bali and all those people,
Mm.
Philippines, they have a lot of bamboo. They have moved far ahead.
Right.
We are also doing a lot of research is going on, especially in Vidarbha, part of Maharashtra,
Hmm.
and they have bamboo institutes now where they train, but it is still limited to the craft type of
Right.
work.
Right.
Building is different. Building is you have loads, structures with loads. It should sustain in earthquake. So suddenly it becomes a serious affair.
Oh,
And in one conference, that lady, an architect from Philippines, he showed a slide which I still remember. I saw it in 2005. They have a kind of a truss or the truss which holds the roof of the house, and
mhm,
there is a particular knot because bamboo tying is not welding.
mhm. Oh,
You'll have to have the similar material, so that knotting is very critical. So they have knots, and usually with paddy fields around, they put thatch on it.
oh,
So in case of fire, what you do?
right. Oh, wow.
Hatch is also can quickly take fire
Right.
in bamboo material. So that knot is designed in such a way that there is always a one scissor hanging.
Oh,
You cut the knot and roof falls. So
oh,
you are safe. And it falls on banana trees.
oh,
Banana trees, they have content of water in
right.
their leaves.
Right.
So that extinguishes the fire. That
Oh,
helps in extinguishing the fire. So it's all integrated. It's a very nice material, but I think because we are in tropics, we'll have to work harder on that material, and one day I think it will be a great success.
wow.
Bamboo material.
Nice.
So project drives these things.
Yeah. So every
Project
project
driven.
teaches new things, right?
Yeah, yeah, true.
Which one is your like favorite project?
See, rather than doing saying it's a small or big, uh, I tend to do experiments every time
Right.
and learn something out of it. If you take this approach, then there is always new thing happening in every project.
Right.
So challenge remains because you are trying to do something new and you are also trying to develop people involved in it.
Right.
Not only you are going ahead,
Mm.
but if they come the next project, usually I try one thing in three projects or three times, not after that, because then it becomes a routine and monotonous. Maybe twice or thrice you can.
Mm.
So most of the projects they are not similar. You will never find same designs. They all are different. They are derived. Their contexts are different, and it's like everything is very close
Right.
because there is experimentation.
Right. So can you tell us about some projects? Like what all projects have you done?
Apart from these, there are projects like you get a smaller projects, you get bigger projects. Earlier, I used to get projects where I worked with the developers. There used to be a land. If you have a X amount of a land, 10% of the land was open space.
Mhm.
And that was around 2000, 2005. And developers also realized there is a potential. If you develop the landscape, they will get good advantage. For marketing, people will, their property can be sold very fast because of the landscape. There is a clubhouse, swimming pool, all these facilities. So that happened somewhere around 2000 to 2008. 2006,
Pune?
IT. Huh?
That was in Pune?
Pune now, so it is happening in tier 3 cities also.
Right.
Very small cities where population is 3 to 4 lakh rupees. But now people are aware that they are calling and saying you develop these open spaces. And with economics, they are also ready to leave 2 plots of bungalows for open space because the cost of those 2 plots can be quickly covered.
Right.
If you give garden, you get quick celebrity.
Right.
You can sell your plots very quickly. So it's a very different ballgame. So landscape has achieved a commercial value now. There is a commercial aspect, and people have realized it.
Right.
So that was one. Those were projects I did initially, but I thought that disconnect because usually, there is open space, there is a road around, and then there are buildings. That was the standardized format. Even today they follow. Landscape is much beyond that because I feel person coming from the building has to enter into the garden without crossing the vehicular traffic.
Right.
So these are different things, and there are projects developed on these. Now people are doing it because they are aware of landscape concepts, master planning, everything. So that was one set. Then there was a phase where government was also trying around 2006, looking at these projects. They were also trying to involve landscape architects. I'm talking of cities like Pune, not metros, because metros that time also and now today also they don't have much space for landscape. So that was another phase where government also, they were anxious. They were trying to involve landscape architects. I did one project in Bosri that was, say, around 14 acres of garden for government.
Oh,
There was a marshy land, we protected it. There was a lake with a meditation center in it.
Oh, nice.
And now they have inserted one auditorium there. So it's a very nice environment over there. Then government used to, at that time, the government used to come up with competitions for landscape architects. So I won Botanical Garden Nasik Award at that time. And then also I made one Rhode Island there. Now see, Rhode Island, small project, 20,000 square feet, 2,000 square meters. And Botanical Garden, 16 acres.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, design is design. There is nothing like small. You need same sensibilities to handle 2,000 square feet also and 40 acres also, maybe, big 70 acres also.
Different challenges. Like while doing Rhode Island, you have to take care of pollution around it and all that stuff.
No, not pollution, but I mean, since you are asking, it was a very tricky thing. It was a competition.
Oh.
And we made a model. I and my wife, Vishali, we made a model. She's also, by the way, architect, now practicing lawyer, good lawyer. So we made a model and submitted. Somehow it did not work for us. Then because see, it was a highway, and for a highway, there is a condition that you cannot build a structure above 2.4 meters. That is 8 feet height. My proposal without reading, because I thought I'm an artist, I will do this. That was a young age. So I proposed structure of 9 meters. So there was a jury who was a part of that government, that is highway department. So he said no. Initially he said no, take that model out because that height itself is wrong.
Oh.
Then somehow it happened that I got a call from the client. We saw your model and we want to do it. I said, how come? But so can you come? I went. Then that time I understood my model was out because our design was out because of the height. So I asked why my model, our design was out. They said because of the height. But then they said they took initiative and they said we have already found out someone and who has agreed to the height.
Oh, that's nice.
Would you like to come and help us? I said yes. if I agreed to it, but you'll have to convince him. I said, I will come. So it was a situation, it was not an island. See now how language makes the difference. Island means four roads coming together and you have circle in between.
Right.
But this was the case where two roads and there was a huge space in between. So it was a divider. So I caught that particular thread. My wife being a legal person, it helped me. So I said that it is a divider, it is not an island. So you can, that rule doesn't apply. Probably great person from the government office, the commissioner, he said, will you do it? He looked at, probably I was young, my energy, he looked at, he stand there, said, go ahead and do it. That project is still there. Even that was done in 2003 or 4.
Oh, wow.
And even after 20 years, even after road widening, that project still exists.
Wow. Nice.
Now, there is another story, but I don't know, because that strata was not there. My height of the site structure I proposed in my design was 9 meters and foundation was up to 27 meters. So we had to go to 27 feet. That was another 9 meters. So who will put money making foundation, going to 27 feet down and building 27 feet up? So your budget is doubled.
Right.
It was very complex, but fortunately we got a consultant. Now see, this is another part where we need to work with many people, many consultants, structural designer, architect, service consultant, those who propose plumbing, drainage, AC, air conditioning, and water, how you take rainwater management. All those consultants are involved.
Right.
So we got one good consultant and he gave us the solution. He said, you take a vibrator roller, make the compaction and make a structure on it. No one is going to live in it. It's a simple curvy wall that rises up to 9 meters from 1 meter. I was very happy and we could complete the project. It is very interesting project. And that was I can tell you the name, Sapatti Parivar Chai. That Sapatti, they are biggest tea sellers in northern Maharashtra. Somehow they became my client. And I said, let's not put Sapat Island. We should have those ladies plucking tea leaves, what you see in Assam. And we got 6 statues made. And on their baskets, we wrote Sapatti, Sapatti. So that is the art also. I mean, the sculpture, everything comes together. It's an idea, it strikes, and then you just go ahead and client supports you. So I'm very thankful to my clients.
How do you find inspiration from, for your projects?
Very difficult question for us, actually, because it's like how you compose a music for the song, how you compose any music, how it comes in your mind. It's very spontaneous.
Right.
It's very difficult process. I tried to analyze it many times, but how it comes in my mind and how I stick to it. But there are ways to do it, especially when I taught for 20 years as a visiting faculty for landscape design and architecture in various colleges, not only one, but various colleges across Pune. And that teaching experience also helped me in analyzing how I think. It is very important. So, because unless you think, you cannot tell your students, so they cannot think. But there are certain defined processes in design fields. One is that you can simply judge what you want to do, look at the land. So some thought comes in your mind, and that thought becomes the thread. You put that thought into words or a sentence, and then you start expanding that sentence. Like I told you that cat skills, somehow that thought came that I want this to be a natural landscape. And Olmsted had that idea, inspiration, because probably that was his background. He was born and brought up there. I don't know, but it came in mind. So it is equally important. Whatever that comes in your mind, you have to value it.
Right.
So many things come. What to value, what not to value.
That's up to you.
So I think there is a point where very quickly you need to analyze what you can take ahead and expand and further without disturbing the original idea. Every project has either a strong story or a strong idea. while doing this, we filter things.
Right.
10 things come, not all are useful to me. So that is also a judgment a designer needs, what to keep and what to,
What not to do.
what not to take.
Right.
That is another tricky part. But you can learn. It is not that difficult. You can do it.
Right. Have you ever got like artist block? Like sometimes you get stuck on one project and then you don't think of
I
anything
think,
to do.
yeah. I mean, you got questions from somewhere from me. I don't know. They're difficult to
Because
but they're very interesting. I'm happy you're asking them. I mean, in architecture, especially in Pune, where I studied, there is a very nice process of getting you out of these blocks. And it's like, for example, the complexity of the project increases as you move from first year to fifth year. That is your final project that you do. So complexity, when it increases, in first year, there is a small project, but you're not mature. And as you mature, the complexity of the project is.
yeah.
So there is a paper that we give. It's a paper that is for 18 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours per day. So morning 10 o'clock you come, 4 o'clock you go without break. That first day is without break. So they give you the land. They also give you the requirements of the project. Suppose hospital. This is the land. This is the requirement. These many square meters are there. Now evolve the project. Maybe site is sloping, site is flat. So you have to do it on in first 6 hours, and you have to submit that paper. Okay, and that paper they will not give you back. So you have to make the copy of that also with you for next 2 days.
Oh wow.
So that paper helps them in knowing how much deviation is there. If you see, you go home and talk to someone and come back and you see another deviation, another solution, another option, then you are gone. So that is how they make it sure that you are there on next 2 days also. So that process is something holds you, and that pushes your thinking. It makes your thinking faster because then the time set 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours.
It's a
So you
part of
will.
you're trained that way.
We are trained that way. This is one process. I don't know whether it exists everywhere in India, but at least in Maharashtra it is there. And I feel it is very important to have that kind of a process in architectural colleges, not even architecture, many art colleges. Why only architecture?
So that helps.
So yes, so there is always a block. And when you are not doing that before exams, you are given 1 month or 1.5 months to do the project. So doing one project in 1.5 months and doing the same project in 18 hours.
Right.
So that struggle is very important. So it's very nice. It's very nice.
So when you design and then you come back after like 2 years and see the design, do you feel that, oh, I shouldn't have done that? I should have done it differently. Like
yes,
that's how, like, because you grow with
yes,
experience and everything, you go back and you see,
yes, that happens.
Right?
And I seriously look at it. It's very serious thing, because you feel that is I mean, it is the only way to improve. Improve yourself. If you are satisfied, you are gone. And it happens with every project. That's why I told you, I try one idea maximum 2 times. Or 2 times, not after that. Then you are stagnant. And it helps me in making next project more beautiful, I become more responsible to that project. And give more justice to that project. And that is how I think the designer gets maturity. Otherwise, how will you get that? We'll have to look back and see what mistakes we did. Mistakes are there, but they are not of a scale where everything has gone haywire and or gone out of budget or anything like that. But mostly, probably better art expression I would have given. It's a teamwork ultimately. Till I design, I'm alone at 5 o'clock. I get up in the morning, say, because that is the time when there are no problems. But then Once the design is on the paper and drawings are ready, thereafter everything becomes a teamwork. Without that, no project is possible.
Right.
Because at least 5, 10 agencies are involved.
Wow.
And you talk to the client who understands art, and you talk to the mason who doesn't understand much about the art and what he's going to do, and
Mm.
what ultimate goal we have set.
So let's talk about your hobbies. Do you get time to pursue your hobbies?
Hobbies. Like, it's very tough for landscape architect because people sit in the cabin for whole day and they go to see the dam, water bodies, they go to the forest, they walk
Uh,
back because of a hobby, go for a
That you do
movie.
as a profession. That's your day job.
Thinking brains is the problem. It's problem for all thinking brains that you see things. See, it's a visual field. Architecture is a very much visual field. You see and react to it. You see the color of what you react to it. You see the bird, you react to it.
Mm.
Which bird is that? Why is it there? You see the butterfly, you react to it. So
So you bring
unless
the
I
person
stop
you
thinking, yeah. But music, it helps in. Earlier, it was never a hobby as such. Hobby in the sense, childhood, I used to play cricket. So that hobby was there, but
Mm.
somehow it did not carry. I used to play tabla, gave the Andhra Mahavidyalaya exams in 1985,
Mm.
and I thought again I should go back to tabla.
Mm.
That was after 38 years.
Oh, wow.
But now that is not a hobby. Earlier I thought it would be the hobby, but it is a second serious interest.
Okay.
But I don't know why. Probably I enjoy everything, so the need of the hobby as such is not there.
Oh, right. So do you ever combine like music and your job together, like tabla, and get some inspiration from music
Yeah, it is
to
mutual.
use, right?
What happened? My niece is a good Bharatanatyam dancer, Radhika Paratikar. She is in US. So when she was learning, I came across a booklet or a literature that they do them in a workshop, and some matter was there. And I just thought that is landscape, nothing more than that. And then I realized that when I'm saying it is a landscape, that means there must be something in music which is related to landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on searching, and then I also thought that some point I should be doing something to tell those who are interested around me that how these two arts, any two arts for that, so a landscape design and music or tabla to be specific, are mutually dependent or mutually beneficial to grow as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, if you see, then I went on searching, studying this tabla, earlier people, what they were. So I found that many tabla players, they were good painters, they were good horse riders.
Mm.
So they were never a single personality pursuing single art.
Mm.
They were a complete artist.
Mm.
Like Birju Maharaj he was a great dancer, but he was a great tabla.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
He was a singer. Yeah.
Oh,
See, they were complete artists.
right.
Now it has specialized. But so that was that somehow I came across this also. And I thought I should be doing some like them sort of maybe 40 minutes, 1 hour, and see if I can get someone to play tabla. And I learned tabla. I know tabla rather than.
Mm.
Then that event will be really good because talking about showing slides of my design and through that tabla or music, relating that particular music to my design process or thought process
Oh.
or my project visuals will be very interesting. Like you see in movies, they play Santur and they show the river or the water body or maybe a fountain because there is a very close association the way Santur sounds and the way water flows.
Yeah.
But if you put pakhavas and say water body is flowing,
It doesn't
It's
go.
not, it
Yeah.
doesn't go.
Yeah.
So there is association which is accepted.
Right.
So those notions are also there. But then I thought if I get someone to play tabla, then I tell that person who doesn't understand the landscape. And so instead of that, I thought I should learn. Take out time for that. So
Right.
that started in 1918, 2018.
Mhm.
So 6 years ago, I restarted. So there is a gap of 38 years, and slowly I'm getting hang of it. And now maybe after 1.5 years from now, I will be in a position to do this like that.
This is very interesting, like different type of instruments we can use in
Yeah.
different types of landscape. So with that point, you should learn all kind of instruments because you work with water, you work with plants, you work with everything. So you need to know like tabla and string instruments.
Tabla is a very versatile instrument. I mean, I think it is the most evolved percussion instrument in the world because all these, what we say, these fingers, and micro motor controls are involved.
Right.
Muscle memory, all those things. Again, the science comes in.
Yeah.
So those things are there. I understand that. I'm trying to learn, and tabla also has its own expressions. It has its own language.
Mm.
Because if the ball is falling down from the staircase, you can play some gat on tabla and you will feel it that way. Two people are fighting. You see on YouTube, there are so many video stars, they play such compositions
Mm.
where you really feel that two people are fighting when they play tabla. So those things, those creative, that is very different creativity. So it's beyond tabla actually. They take you beyond tabla.
Right.
So tabla has evolved very nicely since in the last 15 years as an instrument.
Mm. Mhm. So earlier while talking, you were saying AI is taking like playing good role in so how is it playing like what role is AI playing in this landscape architecture?
There was a conference in the US which I attended sitting in India. That was all about digital landscape architecture.
Digital landscape.
So, digital landscape architecture.
Okay.
So, it was a 2 day conference, 8 hours and 8 hours. And all projects shown were based on the digital information. Like you had some strawberry farms and some forests were going and strawberry farms were proposed. So how do you tell the government there in US that look, these many birds are coming, these many things are happening. So in that conference they showed that they had many sensors, and sensors collected below the ground. They collected the moisture data.
Mhm.
They collected the data above the land, which birds came, which birds were there in that area,
Oh,
and that data, that was very, it was a huge data, and once you have that data, it's a proof.
yeah.
So looking at that conference, I feel in another 1 year or 2 years, we will get AI conference, AI landscape conferences.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Still, you can search on that. Digital landscape architecture is still there, and all these technologies, they get used in collecting the information, even to certain extent analyzing the information, and with that information as a base, you can design the landscapes.
Wow. So
Yeah,
whatever data is like there's huge data available already and
yeah,
like, you can build over it now. So
yeah, yeah.
that's
And see, most why we need to do all this, because say 60% fauna on the earth we still don't know.
mm,
60, because you don't see it in everyday life.
right.
There is something called as a Sicilian. That particular creature is always under the ground.
Oh,
And if someone wants to do a PhD on it, find one Sicilian, you need to search for it for 4 to 5 months or 6 months to find one.
wow.
So likewise, there must be so many, there may be so many underground that you don't. That is why we find so many species of frogs even today, especially the rainy season. So there are botanists, so they also get data. So they set cameras, and in tiger reserves of Maharashtra, you see Tadoba, Hungary, and Madhya Pradesh also. Now they have all that is digitized. They have set cameras, they collect the data.
Yeah.
Then you can see the tiger in the cities. When traffic is moving, you see tiger there at the same location.
Right.
But people don't see them, tiger doesn't see them.
Mm.
So very interesting things are happening in landscape. So it helps in ultimately achieving the goal of conservation.
Mm.
Landscape conservation is another field
Oh,
altogether. It's a natural conservation, conservation of natural resources, geology, hydrology, plant science.
right. So you can still grow in those things, right?
Everything under the sun is landscape. That's
True.
why we need to have a master plan.
Right.
How do you approach?
Mhm.
There has to be a master plan, and then you keep developing, take information technology help, and you go on developing it. Maybe after 2 years, you will see the complete picture.
Right.
One interesting part I will tell you, which is about the sustainability. Since landscape is very broad, we have evolved a model of of a say 3 to 5 acres. You can implement that model
Mhm.
where a family gets everything from the land,
Right.
and we do not bring anything from outside except like you are in a earthquake prone zone, so there are certain government guidelines, and according to that only you have to make the structure in concrete.
Mhm.
So you dig the well, your stone is available, whatever you dig,
Mhm.
use it, make roads out of it, make walls out of it.
Right.
So your carbon footprint is less.
Mhm.
Now soil for plantations, soil we don't bring it from outside. We study the soil, how much is a good soil, that is the top soil,
Mhm.
which takes almost 10,000 years to form. So taking soil from somewhere else is also a damage to the earth,
Right.
because then you are creating damage there.
Mm.
So analyze the soil, and then you can make a composition out of it. Then have a cow shed, have cows, have agricultural land, have fruit orchards,
Mm.
have sandal trees,
Mhm.
because they take time to grow, but they grow mutually. You have to plant something around, so mutual exchange of ions is there, and then they grow.
Mhm. Right.
So you have water, you have well, same stone is getting used for roads, pathways. Little thing you can bring from outside, but try and minimize these, carbon footprints and transports, unnecessary transports,
Right.
and then you get a local flavor to your project. That is the best part.
Right. Um, any advice for our audience when they design their backyards or when they
Yeah,
design their
the civil work goes. There are two components to the landscape. One is what we call hardscape, where there's a paving, small walls,
so
gazebos.
for that we need like contractors or anything, something that we can do at home.
No, I'll tell you. So this is one aspect. And the other aspect is the softscape, what you say, hardscape and softscape, which is trees, lawns, shrubs, flowers,
Mm.
people like a lot. But to have good greenery in the house, you need to have a good sunlight.
Sunlight. Mm.
Sunlight. And what we do when we suggest plantation at all stages, not only initial stage, but even later stage also, we do shadow analysis.
Mhm.
It is very much a part of plantation scheme that we provide to any client.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it will not grow. There is a book called Design with Nature, if someone wants to read.
Mhm.
So, how to understand these processes in the nature? So, in that book, the author has mentioned that he visited the site for full 1 year just to understand what is there.
Wow.
It is then only you know what is happening, and then you start inserting shrubs or trees or ground covers so that you are not disturbing the ecology.
Right.
Hardscapes and all that is all right. Anyone can do.
Hmm.
Of course, it is a combination. It can have certain juxtapositioning of plants and the hardscapes can give you a good art. That is how things are done. But when you want to plant something, do study, these shadow patterns,
Right.
sunlight where it is
Or even like now it's springtime here, and we try to plant something outside, which will grow until like winter hits here. But then whenever we plant something, either deer comes, deer
Yeah,
eats something.
it's it.
So
It's it.
so recently I found out that there are two different types of roses, and what one type is what deers like. So
Wow.
that yeah,
They
and
have
then there is
choice.
one, and
They
then
have
there
a choice, and human beings also have a choice.
yeah.
No, in that project where we have evolved the model, I told you, we also get deer in that area. Especially they come in search of water in summer season.
What right?
And I think twice on site I seen some 15 to 20 deers moving there and there, blackbirds, beautiful.
Right.
And they usually come in summer. Otherwise, in the rainy season, forests are green and they are comfortable there. So we are proposing some small water arrangement so that we don't deny the water.
Right.
So if you study, if you give them enough, probably they will not take away the flowers.
Right.
Or you can have a little fence around it, little fence.
So that's what people do here. We keep
Yeah,
seeing it like small net around plants,
correct.
but then like it doesn't look
It doesn't look good,
pretty
does it?
pretty
So
good.
you will have to integrate an element into the design.
Yeah.
Also, you must be seeing a lot of soil below well trees.
Yeah.
That is because there are particular plants like bamboos. They make soil acidic. Their leaves they fall, and when water falls on it, it it, it makes the soil acidic. So in acid nothing grows. Or maybe there are very few species that tolerate acidic soil. So that is one reason. In that case, you can just pave it without using any concrete, just interlocking blocks.
Oh.
It will not cause a damage to the soil, or water will still percolate. You can take it out and put it somewhere else also later on. It will allow trees to breathe. Their roots are there, so they should also breathe. And still you can make a party on it and clean it later on very quickly.
So thank you so much. Like we
My pleasure.
learned a lot today. We didn't like landscape is not
All keep learning.
only doing our backyard or only doing front yard. It's a lot. Like we have to.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
true.
yeah. It's a vast thing. One last question: if somebody wants to pursue this as a career, landscape
Yeah,
architecture,
yeah.
what is your advice to them?
So when you are starting or you're thinking about, like you want to do something about the landscape or nature, you need to have a clarity what you really want. You want to do a design or you want to get into the contracting, because in India there are very few landscape contractors. It's a very specialized discipline, and one needs to read drawings. Like architects' drawings are different, interior drawings are different,
Right.
landscape drawings are different. It is not just casual sketch that you do and say ऐसा करके दे दो, नहीं होगा, because that will not match to your imagination, and result will be different and your sketch will be different. So if you are an architect and you want to join the postgraduate landscape course, or if you are a different person and want to pursue some career in landscape, to me it is all same. Because fundamentally you need to be sensitive towards Mother Earth. Unless you have that feeling inside, you cannot become good landscape architect. Once you have that feeling, your selfishness will go, and then you can give justice to the parcel of a land that comes to you. When I completed, it was a very different time, especially in India. In Delhi, Some awareness was there. In Pune, it was not there. That was a different time in the sense. One is a struggle that is everywhere for every beginner. But I evolved my model at that time. I used to teach as a visiting. So I used to get some money from there to survive.
Mhm.
And I used to come back at 2 o'clock, and 2 to 10 o'clock I used to do my practice. I'm thankful to, and that you see, it is not only one person's work, but there has to be a support from the family and the parents and everyone around. And I'm thankful to them because without that support, nothing happens. This is something that one must keep in mind while starting the career.
Right.
And once that happens, then slowly I shifted towards the profession. I gave away the lectureship. Now I don't go to the I go once in a while, but now the focus is totally on profession because that was my model at that time.
Mhm.
Because it was bringing me enough money through the visiting faculty lectureship, so that money and professional money I could manage. Now things are very different. So probably one has to look at the finance also. At the same time, creativity, finance and creativity, and money and creativity, they don't go together, practically speaking. In India, they say Lakshmi and Saraswati, something like that. So it's very tough. It's very, and there is any profession requires the time. Beginning time is there to establish. In my case, it was almost 8 years. IT was not there. The MNCs were not there. That way I was lucky. But now MNCs and IT companies, they are offering great salaries. And this is a discipline one needs to understand that where you sell nothing, you sell time and time. You have nothing to sell, no software to sell, no slab to sell, no land to sell.
Mm.
So your time you are selling and your talent you are selling. So there will be always a struggle to get the money at initial stage. So maybe you can work in some MNC, take the experience, keep that in mind that you want to establish your own practice. So in Marathi, what we call pinda kaya ochala. What is there inside you? If you understand that you are a person who is a leader, so that the other qualities are required. Like you need to take people together. You need to be social enough to mix with others, understand what they are saying. You should be a good listener, not only the giver. You should be a good listener first.
To
So if you
understand.
judge yourself, yeah, you have to judge person what you are,
Right.
and then take the call whether you want to work forever in MNCs or maybe you have to work in a local firm where it is they are reputed for design. And I feel client comes to you for good design and art. If he wants to do some ecological work, he will go to ecologist. If he wants to understand zoology or botany, he will go to botanist or zoologist. But since he wants to make something good, he wants to create something good, and so he comes to you. That means he comes from the creative part of your life, creative part of your consultation. That is very important. And if you keep this in mind, whether you want to be creative enough through MNCs, going to be creative enough through your professional life or individual practice, you want to serve in academics, it's equally important.
Yeah.
If you want to work in
Multiple
local firm,
threads. Right.
you have multiple heads. So if you understand yourself, you can judge yourself very quickly at initial stage. It will be good.
Right.
And then take a step. You will find people. It's not difficult.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and
Sure. Thanks.
your very valuable advice to to our audience. Definitely, our audience are going to like it and they're going to take it.
I'll be happy to know the reactions.
Sure. Yep.
If they said,
The comment section is open so people can.
yeah, oh, is it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having
Thank
me.
you. Thank you so much.